All right, so today we're having a conversation with Dustin Blank of Farmers Alliance and Bruce Langley of Langley Farms. Thank you guys for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Of course. So tell us a little bit about your background and how you initially got into farming.
I was born on a farm in Illinois. My grandpa raised cattle and hogs and grew row crops, and my parents moved down here when I was 12 years old or so to South Florida, and stayed in the cattle business, or rodeoed and had cows and worked cows all through high school and even after high school. And after high school, got away from it, got into construction, a place that I could, got to start somewhere. Built a big construction company down here in Naples, did a lot of work at Port Royal, everywhere else. Crash 08 happened, lost everything, went bankrupt, and so I started farming just really to feed my kids, right? I had a quarter acre in my backyard, and I grew squash and cucumbers, and every day after work, I'd sell it on the side of the road. So the first year I had $2,000, I put it in the ground. By the end of the spring, I had $10,000. I said, I can make money doing this. So then I rented a piece of ground in town, started a U-pick, and the rest is really history. Now we own Farmers Alliance. I farm a few thousand acres here in South Florida. We have 44 farms from South Florida to Kentucky. And we do business with Walmart and Kroger and all the major retailers across the country.
Bruce, tell us how you got into farming.
So I was born on a farm in Kentucky, a small grain farm. We did tobacco and a few cows. As I was growing up, my dad saw that I had a lot of passion for agriculture, and he asked me when I was in about 8th grade, he said, is this what you want to do? And of course, that's what I wanted to do from the time I was 5 years old, and I'm in my 30s now. That was always the plan. I always wanted to be a farmer, and we grew the business. We're in 5 counties. There in Kentucky, we do corn, soybeans, tobacco, watermelon, cattle, and rye, wheat, and barley. Wow. So we're a pretty diverse operation, and I guess you could say I was born into it, but I couldn't imagine doing anything else. Mm-hmm. And now we span over about 18,000 acres in 5 counties there in central Kentucky, and I couldn't imagine doing anything else.
Yeah. Dustin, so you went from construction to farming. Is farming something that is hard to get into if somebody wants to?
Oh, very difficult. Yeah. Very difficult. I don't know. Now that I've made it through 15 years, 16 years of farming, I look back, we were talking about it this morning, just riding around all the farms. We checked half the farms this morning, or looked at half of them. We were talking about the amount of equipment it takes, and our operation down here, you're looking at $10-12 million worth of John Deere tractors and power units. So it takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of capital to do it. We've made it through the fire somehow, built it to this point. But I look back at it and I think, how did I do that? Like, I couldn't tell you how I did it, except for just put your head down and go to work. That's truly what it is. Just put your head down and go to work.
Right. And speaking about putting your head down and go to work, what does a typical day look like for you guys?
Well, I think that's the best part about farming is every day is different. Whether what season you're in, whether it's spring planting or fall harvest, it's show up to the farm and get the guys ready to go. And I guess no 2 days are the same on the farm, and that's what makes every day interesting. You have your day-to-day operations, but then there's challenges that come with that, whether it's weather events or dealing with equipment breakdowns. So it just really depends on what type of, what season you're in. But it's a hard life, but it's good.
There's really no schedule to it, right? I mean, you can wake up at 4 a.m. with a plan, mm-hmm. and you better be ready to change that plan in 30 minutes, right? Because you could have to flip it on its head, right? And do something totally different.
You could leave at 7 a.m. with a plan, and by 9 o'clock, you'll be on plan G. Right. Like you're way down through there. So
why is that? Is it because a lot of things just aren't in your control?
Weather, equipment breakdowns. I mean, there's conditions in each field.
Just getting to the field, availability to, dry ground. You might have a farm one day that you're planting that night before, and you get a rain, and you go there the next morning, you got some rain the night. Well, now you're going to pack up and go to another one, and so it's always ever changing. And I think that's what is a challenge, but also the fun part about farming is you never know what day to day is going to bring. Yesterday I was in Kentucky in a combine. harvesting corn for the distillery. And today I'm in Florida doing a podcast. So you just never know where you're going to end up.
And rode 2,000 acres.
And rode thousands of acres of sweet corn and eggplant, cucumbers this morning. So, and it's a good community of people. You know, Dustin, his type of farming and my type of farming, they're both considered farming, but there's nothing. I mean, they're two totally different things. But just to get out and see the different ways that people do stuff is really cool.
Right. And Dustin, you've built a diverse farming operation with a range of commodities. How did you decide to go from Southwest Florida all the way to Kentucky?
So when we started Farmers Alliance in 2019, it was, we were just a farming operation that other people were handling the sales side to the retailers, right? Or whoever it's going to the end user. There was other people did it, had multiple people, good people, bad people in between, right? So me and my partner at that point, we had made some money, we had lost some money back and forth, and we decided that if we're going to continue in this business, we're going to vertically integrate, and we're going to take everything in house. And we partnered up with some guys. At the time, some that were farmers, some that weren't farmers. Now, ultimately, it's just me and my partner, Stacy, that own the whole operation. But we vertically integrated it so that we built the company to how I would want to be treated, right, as a farmer. When I wasn't having my stuff handled. For Bruce or any of our other farmers, they're getting the contracts with Walmart. So I'm negotiating. Yesterday, I had a deal in North Florida where the head of produce sourcing for Walmart flew in on the private Walmart jet, and we had to deal with the ag secretary for the state of Florida, with one of our farms in North Florida, and that's one of our biggest things is helping a small farmer, which they're a small produce farmer, right? Mm-hmm. But they're not small farmers. But ultimately, out of our 44 guys, most of them are small family farms, and that's kind of our passion, is to get the money back to the dirt for the farms.
Right. And how did the partnership for Bourbon Beef come about?
So I was up there. It was the first year we were doing watermelons. I think it was. First year we were doing watermelons, and I was up there training their tobacco crew how to cut watermelons. So I flew up there. They were ready to harvest. We got packing house ready, and me and his dad are there, and I'm teaching his guys how to cut watermelons and load watermelons and pack watermelons. I was there for 2-3 days. And we got done, or it rained or whatever it was. Doug's like, jump in the truck. Let's go down to the feed yard. So we drive down to the feed yard, and we pull in there, and I'm like, cattle has been a passion of mine. I still have cows here. I got a few hundred head of cows in Immokalee, and that's kind of my hobby, right? So I love cows, always have. My dad or my grandpa had a big finishing yard like they got, right? So we got down there. I'm like, this is awesome, and we were talking about feed cost, and I understand the whole logistics behind it all. And he's telling me, well, no, we get this orchard grass from the racetracks, we get this corn or distillers grain from the distilleries. So I'm like, distillers grain? You're feeding straight a slop, which shouldn't be done, right? And it's literally, people will tell you can't feed a wet feed like that and finish cattle. And they've came up with a blend that works, right? And I'm like, dang, these cows look good. We're talking about weight gain. I said, man, I said, sell me one. I said, all right. So Trackside will butcher it for you. I said, all right, send it down there and kill it. So we sent it down there, and I had it hauled back to Florida, and we opened up the first steak the first night, and I ate it. I'm like, holy flavor. Yeah. Like, I'm a Wagyu guy, right? I mean, and this is where Bourbon Beef, and it's because of the distiller's grain, I believe, right? I really do. It's the feed ration that they're feeding. It is where prime meat meets Wagyu, right? It don't have the marbling quite of a Wagyu, but it has the flavor of Wagyu, right? So it's like you get Wagyu flavor in a prime cut, and it's just unbelievable. So I gave a bunch of the meat away to friends and stuff. I'm like, you guys got to taste this. Well, a bunch of my friends are like, I want one. So I called Bruce and Doug, and I'm like, hey, kill 4 more. So we killed 4 more. Mm-hmm. Told them my buddies that I golf with, and they're all giving them to their friends. They're like, oh, we want more. I'm like, all right. I flew up there, and I sat down with them. I'm like, look, guys, This was a couple of years ago. I'm like, look, I'm going to do this. I mean, it's probably a hat that I shouldn't be going after because I got so many other things going. I said, but this is too good not to do it, right? And they're like, let's do it. So that's kind of how it went, and now we're fixing to launch. So.
Right. And what makes that feeding process like so different or unique with Bourbon Beef?
So I would say what makes it the most unique is we buy the animals, we locally source the animals there. We have another partner that has a feed yard as well, and we source the animals at 900 pounds. And once they get to the farm, we start them on the ration on the distillers grain. And once we get that in there and they get on it, it sounds like they're just in there drinking. Like it just sounds like it's drinking. They're drinking it, but it's a really good process because this is a byproduct from the bourbon. So we haul the corn to the distillery, and when we unload it to the distillery, they take it in and mash, and they get what they need for the alcohol for the bourbon. Well, now they have this slop, and it has corn in it. Mm-hmm. Well, we saw that there was a demand. There was a large volume of this stuff that they needed to do something with. So once we figured out that we could feed it in a mixed ration and feed it to the cattle, it makes the farm so sustainable because not only are we growing the corn, we're selling the corn directly to the distilleries because we work directly with them. We bring the corn back in a liquid form, feed it to the cattle. The cattle have manure. We put the manure on the fields and then grow another corn crop. So it really comes full circle, and it keeps everything local and very sustainable and just really
truly regenerative.
It's regenerative ag. And he said it there. Everybody told us that it couldn't be done. They won't finish on that. It's going to burn them up. It's going to be hard on their gut. And like I said, like Dustin said, we've been doing it for years, and the quality is really. We actually give it to Trackside. They sell some in the store there, and it's been really good. Just to keep it local and keep it Kentucky. It's true Kentucky. It's start, finished, killed, everything in Kentucky, and in this day and age with the beef prices and everything, that's really important to us. Because we're competing with offshore markets. And I think people really appreciate that, to have something local that's locally sourced and locally fed and locally packed. There isn't a packer out in Nebraska making a killing. The farmer and the distilleries and the consumer, that's who has their hand in it. There is no middleman. There is nobody else that is going to get. So it keeps it local, and since COVID, we've learned that that's what people really like is locally sourced and a safe product. We really pride ourselves on having a safe product for the consumer, something that we would feed our families and not have a problem feeding our friends and everything else. So
why did some people say that you can't feed?
Because it's not traditional.
It's not traditional.
What is the traditional?
Traditional way, like in today's world, you go to a Five Rivers or one of the big operators that are the cattle finishers, right? That have a yard of 200,000 head of steers that are in there being finished. They're mixing cottonseed hulls and some grain along with it, and it's a ration that's that business has turned into a computer or an AI system says, okay, this commodity costs X, this commodity costs Y. The feed ration is going to blend for the cheapest feed that they can put in that cow today, right? This takes a lot more work. There's a lot more slop. The way that it's done is just not easy, right? And feeding just without adding the roughage to what they're doing, it really would burn them up, right? But they're just not feeding. We're not feeding straight distillers grain, and we're also not feeding 600-pound steers and trying to finish them, right? That's the main thing is these cattle are coming in at 950 pounds. They've been grass fed the whole time. So legally, the way that the USDA says it, these cattle are actual grass fed cows. By definition, they're just being finished on the grain. So, but by USDA standard, this is a grass-fed distiller grain finish. I don't really put a lot of weight into the grass-fed thing, because if you've ever ate an actual grass-fed cow, you might as well eat chew leather, right? It ain't no good. No, grass-fed beef is awful.
So is grass-fed a little bit of a marketing?
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay. And what distilleries do you guys work with?
So we work with Woodford Reserve, Angel's Envy, Bullet Bourbon, Rabbit Hole, Four Roses, Early Times. I'm sure I'm forgetting one or two, but yeah, and it's been so important for us to deal with these distilleries because that gives us not only a local market to source our feed for our cattle, but also a place to sell our corn. And we grow a specialty corn. It's a non-GMO corn, and that since it's food grade, it's non-genetically modified, and that's really a big deal it's good for the marketing for the distillery, and then now we're feeding a non-GMO corn to the cattle. So yes, it is grain finished, and it's back to like marketing, what you said about the grass fed. There's been misconception about grain finished that it's all being finished with a GMO corn, and this couldn't be farther from the truth. Yeah.
So non-GMO corn, higher quality, or what is it?
It's just not genetically modified. It's a deeper conversation than we have the time for, right? Okay. I mean, we could do it again, and we could get into that, right? Because there's an elephant in the room, but it's a deep conversation. Right?
Okay.
So, but the consumers want non-GMO, right? Whether I agree with it or not, consumers want non-GMO. This is non-GMO.
Got it. And when you say, was it slop? Is that the?
That's the distillers.
Got it. The bourbon mash. That's at the end of the distilling process.
Yeah. That's we call it the slop, but that is the mash. Yeah, or the byproduct from the.
Let's call it bourbon mash.
Yeah.
Bourbon mash. Okay, got it. And so that's mainly what makes bourbon beef different, right?
Flavor,
the flavor.
Yeah.
Got it. What is that flavor like? Is it like a little more intense?
Yes. So when we started this, the beef or the ground beef, when you go to buy one of these cows, we're gonna be selling them in quarters, wholes, and halves, right? And when you look at it, you'll see, that's a lot of ground beef. But I'm telling you, the ground beef is second to none. It's an 80-20 blend, right? So but real ground beef is an 80-20 blend. You go to the grocery store and you buy a 94.7. Cows aren't as thin as you, right? They're like me. A natural cow has got to have a little fat on him. That's where the flavor comes from. So when you're taking that 94 or that lean ground beef, a lot of the time it's been either introduced with another product, which is a pink slime. I don't know if you know about pink slime. Everybody look up pink slime. It's disgusting, right? And it's the process of stripping tendons and everything else from it. So you go to a grocery store, you go to anywhere, you don't really know if there's pink slime been added back to your stuff. But low fat content ground beef, a lot of the time has a blend in it. Can't say that yours does or doesn't when you buy it, but it's a real thing. Google search it. It's disgusting. This does not have it, right? Okay. This is an 80-20 blend, so it's going to look a little fattier, but the flavor is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
And
is there a way to know if he has it or not?
The pink slime?
Yeah.
No. There's
really?
not.
So is it mainly like the company?
Bourbon Beef doesn't have it, I promise you that.
Yeah.
Throw that in there.
So would you say a way to know is like what company you're buying?
Buy directly from the farm operation, right?
I guess the best thing you could do is if you could buy some ground beef from a local farmer, and then go to the store and buy some and just visually look at them side by side, and I think you'll be able to tell.
You'll be able to tell.
Yeah. Is the beef, like, how come sometimes, this is a little bit off, kind of on the same topic, but how come sometimes there's beef that's like very bright red from, like, let's say Publix or...
there's dyes they use dyes on meat, right? There's dyes to make it look that for presentation for the consumer, right?
It'd be the same way why they put red dyes and stuff in candies and different things.
Okay.
It's to catch your eye.
Makes you think it's fresher or whatever it may be.
It goes right back to the marketing.
Yeah.
Wow. And is that, would you say, bad for the consumer?
I don't know if I don't want to be the police on what people do, right? I'm just telling you that we found this product.
Yeah.
This is going to be in a very limited supply, right? We can't duplicate this to where the masses are going to be able to have it, right? We're going to have 3,000 head a year, probably 2,400 of them are going to make that bourbon beef grade, right? So we're taking it to the next level. We are going to use ultrasound on the ribeyes to make sure they're getting to that prime grade, right? And so before we even kill the cow, we'll know that it's going to make that prime grade. If it don't make the prime grade, it'll go off on the commercial side, right? And then they can do the commercial, the big Cargills or Four Rivers or whoever can, Five Rivers can do whatever they want to with the meat. They'll grind it up, sell it to heck, but bourbon beef is going to be the premium from the barn.
It is a premium.
It's the premium
product
from the barn. That's right.
Okay.
And that was another thing. We didn't plan on, when we started feeding the mash and stuff, we didn't plan on it being this. We were looking for a source to get rid of the slop, and it was just by happenstance that it made that quality, and it came from quality. So the idea was always retain cattle, grow cattle, finish them out, and sell them, for a profit. But then once Dustin came on and saw the quality and was like, man, this is not what we need to be selling to these big meat boxes, these big meat packers or whatever. You need to be selling this direct. And
Direct to the consumer.
Yeah, direct to the consumer, because you're cutting out so much. You're cutting out so many extra steps, and then that's just money savings. So,
And who's the ideal consumer for this? Is it people that really care about like their health, sustainability?
Well, I mean, look at an old fat guy like me that dips snuff, smokes cigars, and drinks bourbon. That's the guy, right? That I see. But also for the health, right? I mean, it's non-GMO corn. I mean, I don't care if my cow's fed with GMO or non-GMO. I really don't care. I probably won't live till I'm 65, right? I'm not that worried about health, but
And the majority,
I want flavor.
the majority probably won't even know.
That's right.
Yeah.
So is the consumer somebody who really just wants a premium product with great flavor?
It's both, right? So you can control, you can support local agriculture, right? This beef will be being sold at a lower price point than going to a grocery store, right? When you're buying a quarter whole and a half,
Oh, really?
when you average these together, for especially prime cuts, you're still going to be cheaper than going to the grocery store and getting it. Right, but it's going to make the farm sustainable because you don't have the big packer getting his cut. You don't have the retailer getting a 50 or 60% markup, right? If we can keep this price point to where even in a dip in the market, the farm still operates and it's good, it's a win-win for everybody.
Oh, I didn't know that.
traditionally, the farmer makes least than anybody.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
When the beef leaves the farm, that's the cheapest it'll ever be.
Really?
So,
Even if you buy directly from the farmer?
well, no. Then if you're selling it direct, then the farmer will have a chance to make more money. But when you
I see.
sell,
But it's still going to be competitive
Yeah.
as you getting it from the grocery
Yeah.
store.
For sure.
The grocery store will retain these animals for 3, 4, 5 months, depending on the average daily gain. And if we sell to these big meat store or to these packers, they're going to mark it up 30%, 40%. So what we had to make over 6 months, 6 months, they'll kill the animal, pack it, and they'll make it in a day. And all they had was trucking and getting it to the facility.
That's right. And so right now, right, the beef market is high. The cattle market is as high as it's ever been. Right. It's calves. I'm selling 600-pound calves for $4 a pound. I've seen cattle in the $650 range selling for like $450. Right. You're looking at a $2,600 calf that has to put on 400 pounds before he goes to him, 300 to 400 pounds. So the farmer that's buying that cow, that's going to background him before he goes to him, is taking a $3,000 risk. That cow may die on him, right? Then he might make $400 feeding that cow for 6 months, right? Being a animal husbandry, right? He's taking care of that cow till he's ready to go to the finishing yard. They pay $3,000, $3,500 for that cow. Now they're going to feed it for, like you said, 3 months, whatever the daily gain is, or wherever you buy them at.
They all gain differently. They're just like us. If we all eat the same, we're all going to gain weight and retain weight differently. Just because you have them, you're not just going to put the same amount of weight on each one. So you might have one that gains 1.5 pounds, and you might have one that gains 4 pounds a day.
Okay.
So it's all different about how long you keep them.
So then they're going to do that to make $300 a head, right? Sell it to a meat packer who's going to make $3,000
So you buy
So
it
the
for
two
3,500. You bought it for 3,500.
Right now, he'd be buying fat cattle for around 3,500, $300 to $3,500 a head for a fat cow.
So it's out from you at 300 profit.
If you don't have some die, if you don't, whatever it is, right? So you got a multi-million-dollar
You got
facility.
900 in a barn, you lose 2. That's
Right.
a lot of money.
That's a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
So you'll make a $300 profit around approx.
You don't never know. You truly don't never know. Depends on, because the beef market does this.
In farming, if you can turn a profit, you're doing good.
Okay.
I see.
Because it's volatile.
So just going back to the initial, how much money do you have to invest from like you to get to where you are right now? I know but do you raise capital or do you fund it yourself?
Self-funded. Everything I do self-funded. Everything they do self-funded. I mean, it's from the ground up. I mean, and that's any strong farm operation started here, and the farm paid for its growth. Right, the operation paid for its growth.
And there's operating notes and stuff that you utilize. Year-to-year operations.
But it's not like venture capital or something.
No. You don't go out and find somebody. I'm gonna go out and find a private investor to fund the farm. No, you deal with your local co-op or a farm credit.
And why is that? Why wouldn't you?
Because institutional money, and I've dealt with a bunch of them, and they want in the space, right? They want in the land space. They don't understand anything but a fixed return.
And we don't have that.
We don't have a fixed return.
I see.
You could lose 3% this year. You could make 30% next year. There is no fixed return. And lose 50 or make, I mean, there's no fixed returns, right?
Yeah. In the grocery store, you said.
So the packer's going to make at least 1,000 or 1,500. So he done made more money than the two farms that raise these cows for a year, right? That have all the money in it. They had it for days. And then the retailer's going to have a 40, 50, 60%
They make the
markup.
most.
Oh,
Retail?
absolutely. Retail by far makes the most.
Wow.
That's why this was so important, because when we started this, we were going to sell retail, and then so when this came on, this really opened up our profit per head so much, because now we're not paying people, we're not making people rich from 3 days worth of work. We can retain that money on farm and still supply. I can confidently sell them a safe, Kentucky-grown, Kentucky-proud product, and not something that they say, well, it came from, well, we don't know, but it's beef.
Got it. Got it.
Well, and you got, on top of that, you've got, right now, right, $3,000 a head. I mean, the beef market's as high as it's been, like I said. It ain't going to be there forever.
Yeah.
They're going to take, and they're taking a I would say $1 million gamble really easy on that 3.5 to 4 month window. Because that $3,500 a head or $3,000 a head that they're paying right now typically should be around that $2,000 range. So they're going to buy these cattle at $3,000 a head. And within 4 months, they might be only be worth $2,000.
Yeah.
Right? So there's going to be 900 head in that barn. So they're flipping a coin for $1 million. This takes that out of it, right? We can go in there and we can say, all right, we're going to give the consumer a fair price. We can confidently fill the barn with $3,000 cattle. That's fine, right? Not a big deal, because we know we're going to get a full return. Right now, there's a couple facets on that. The cattle industry or the cattle herd in America is as small as it's been since 1932 or 50s or 30s. It's small. That's right, with more people to feed. The big packers have gotten addicted to cheap Mexican beef, right? And they're Coriani breds, right? The majority of the cattle that we're finishing at Bourbon Beef is Angus type cattle. The Brazilian cows are, they got some Simmental crosses, and it is not the highest quality breeds that you can get. The American herd is very, very small and continuing to get smaller, right? The ranchers are dying off. So for us, we can't control the whole cattle industry, but what we do have control of is this piece, right? This small little piece, and we want to keep it American. We want to keep it local. We want to get as much money back to the dirt as we possibly can, so that his kids, my kids, can continue doing this tradition, right? This passion, right? It's not a job. We don't work a job. This is not a job. It's a lifestyle, right? Mm-hmm. But it has to be sustainable, right? In the current state of affairs, it is not sustainable. I mean, there's 32,000 farms went bankrupt last year, or we lost 32,000 farms across the United States. It's not a sustainable model. Bourbon Beef, it's an American company. It's American beef, and it is sustainable.
It's American start to finish. Mm-hmm. From the time the calf hits the ground when it's born to the time that it hits the rack. It's 100% American bred, raised, fed, and owned. And that, I think that's huge in these markets where the numbers are down, where our numbers are low, and on the national, and especially with other countries with diseases and stuff.
Mm-hmm. The screwworm, right?
Yeah, the screwworm in Mexico. That's coming this way. So
what's that?
It's American. It's a worm. It's a fly that lands on cows and lays its eggs. The worm goes into the meat. Right, it happened back in the 30s. It's been a while. It's been a while since the last screwworm epidemic, but it's in Mexico right now, and that's really what's drove the cattle market pricing up. Is at least the USDA has done the right thing in stopping imports from Mexico, so that the screwworm don't come in on us. Right, but to infect our herd.
Damn, that's crazy.
It's crazy.
All that stuff that you guys like that business model. There's a lot of things that you just can't even.
You have no control, right?
No control. Yeah. Wow. And
which to me, it's super interesting to touch on those topics, right? On the business model, because then it gives the value at the end for the product, right?
Right.
So, how long does it take for you to sell the cow?
Like from start to finish, a cow, how long is it? Years?
From a baby to okay. It's that calf's probably 18 months old, 18 to 24 months by the time he's
about
finished.
2 years.
About 2 years.
So you're retaining a lot of costs there, from say if you did it from start to finish, because we have some that we do. We can't do 900 or 3,000 that way, but we have some that we're able to do that way. So it's an investment over a long time, and if you get it, say if you're going to slaughter it at 18 months old and it dies at 16 months. Well, sorry about your luck. So that's why to get the extra value in these other markets is so important, because we're the one packing all the risk through all this stuff, and then we load it on a truck, and if the packer gets it, and they can. So that's why it's so important for these niche, like these markets that we can't control, but we can influence, that we can have some say so and say, hey, you're getting, and it all comes back to food safety, I think. Knowing, I think that gives people a really safe feeling to say, hey, this is a product that we know that was humanely, because comfort's a big thing. Because it's just like, they're just like people in the fact that if they're not comfortable in the growth, they're not going to gain as well. Right. So we want to keep them comfortable. We want to keep them hydrated. We want to do all the things, because if they're comfortable and they're sitting around chewing cud, they're just gaining weight. But there's such a misconception in agriculture that farmers abuse the cattle and they hit them with tractors. That could be farthest from the truth, because if they're not comfortable and safe and feel comfortable around humans. I mean, when we go out there to the yard, you have to go through and push them. You have a 1,500-pound animal, it'll just stand there and look at you. It ain't scared, Mm-hmm. So it's so important for comfort and just being humane with them and giving them a good life, because at the end of the day, that's where we make our money, is healthy, good animals.
Right. And at that 2-year mark, how much is the cow weighing?
We're trying to the kill weight of the cows is an ever-changing thing in America. I think our best weight with this feed process is in that 1450 range. I think that's the most efficient based on the gain and the cost of gain. Cost of gain, 1450 is about the right number.
And why 2 years? Why not go above that?
Well, the cattle will get bigger, right?
Yeah.
Tenderness of the meat changes, just like anything else. The older it gets, the tougher it gets, and you're taking the risk out, right? So every day that you're holding that cow longer, there's a risk of losing.
That's kind of your sweet spot there.
Okay.
Where you're the most efficient.
but they're in a sweet spot where the meat is still in a tender stage, and not too far gone or too. And it'll still, if you have one that gets to 2,000 pounds, it's not going to be a total loss.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be as good as the one that was 1,400. And to put an extra 600 pounds, that's a lot to put on, you know.
And there's that daily gain rate is changed as the cattle grow, right? I mean, we were talking this morning about 4 pounds with the fellow sitting over there, just another Kentucky farmer that's got cattle, right? So he was all excited about his 4 pound gain.
Oh, yeah. On that note, hard bone. They get too old, you'll get hard bone.
That's right.
And that's a lot of weight. You know, that's a lot of weight for an animal to pack around.
Where does the risk come from? Because I know you mentioned risk on losing the
market changes, right? The cattle market is ever changing all day long, every day.
But losing the cow.
I mean, lightning strikes, right?
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Lightning strikes will happen. Broken legs. I mean, they get in a fight. The animals, cattle fight just like people or anything else, right? Broken legs could happen.
Throw a heifer in there and see how many of them fight.
That's right.
Okay, wow. That's super interesting. And what is, because there's been like a big boom around, you know, like organic, grass-fed beef. What is that essentially?
Yeah, essentially, it's marketing, right? People do your research. All you can Google search what the USDA's definitions of all those are, and it's pretty broad. So it's very broad, and all I really want to say about that is it's not the most honest system in the world, right?
It's a lot slower on the average daily gain. So they're not gaining.
If you're truly doing it. Right?
If you're truly doing grass-fed, where we're talking about this, you know,
or grass finished, right?
Yeah, grass finished. If you're talking about this 15 to 20 months finish, if it's truly grass-fed, well, that could take up to
3 years.
3 years. So now they say, well, you know,
or longer.
Basically, they can charge more for, not to say I talk out of church here, but for an inferior product. You know, it's taking longer, but you're still not getting the quality that you could get from the grain finish.
Got it. And Wagyu, I don't know if this is true or not, but I saw that, or I read somewhere that Wagyu is like the cow being massaged for a long time. That's
kind of.
true.
It's a breed, right? If you get the A5, they say that.
I saw a video like some guy.
But ultimately, to get Japanese A5, right? They feed them the same type of feed that we're feeding them, right? They're feeding them like a beer type barley, right? They're ultimately getting the cows drunk, and that's. We're getting them drunk on bourbon distillers grain, you know. So they're living their last 3 months of their life pretty. So I hope I go out that way, right?
So is that probably the main thing that
it's a breed, right? Wagyu is a breed that
Okay.
is you know ultimately has a higher, but it's got a slow gain rate, and they kill them way smaller way smaller. They don't finish off as big as the type of cattle the crosses we're breeding. But I'm a big fan of Wagyu. But I can tell you, if I'm going to eat meat, I'm eating bourbon beef.
absolutely.
It is truly where prime meat meets Wagyu. We're better than prime, and we're real close to Wagyu with a lot more meat texture and less marveling than the Wagyu.
So you guys are going to sell direct to consumer. How does the consumer order this product?
So we've got a website being launched. It is bourbon-beef.co. There'll be a Shopify purchasing. It'll be launched here in November. We're going to drop in. We get our logistics correct. We're probably going to open up 25 to 30 cows a month.
Okay.
Right, so we can get the logistics correct, and everybody, you know, is we don't want to step out here and give any, you know, bad taste in anybody's mouth as far as being able to deliver the whole cow to somebody. Right, there's a lot of things we got to get figured out. Right, we've done it, you know, we've done it in a small way with friends and family. So any mistakes we've made, we've learned from them, but we don't want to go out there and say, all right, there's 100 cows this month. We're gonna, you know, so the month of November, hopefully we'll have 25, 30 head of cows that will be available for
online.
Online.
So people will be able to order online, and will it be like quarter cow, half cow, full cow, or specific cuts?
No, we're not going to do specific cuts right now. Logistically speaking, right, we're farmers, right? We're not a meat packer. We're not delivery guys. We ain't going to break down a cow into steaks. If you want 10 pounds of steak, we ain't doing that, right? Yeah, you go to Publix for that. Quarters, wholes, and halves. Most people that I've been selling to over the last couple of years that are they're all repeat customers. A couple of them have went out and bought other cows after they've gotten a bourbon beef, and friends of mine have said, "Look, I gave all that away. I need another cow. I'm not eating that garbage. I need bourbon beef, right? So kill me another cow." So a lot of my friends have what they're doing is together, two families buying a whole cow and splitting half and half. A family of 4 to 6 that eats a lot of beef. A couple of my buddies have they ultimately their family's eating 1 cow a year.
1 cow a year?
Yeah. For a family of 6.
I think what I've noticed too is the people that get a quarter, they're really happy with it, and the next time they order, they get a half.
That's right.
It's like, man, we ran out quick, and we went through those steaks, and we went through that burger,
That's right.
and so that's.
How long is it going to take from when they place the order to?
It'll be so that once the cow goes to the butcher shop or to the processing plant, and the cow's killed, they hang them for 2 weeks. Right? And they're not automatically cut. They're dry. Ultimately, they're dry aged. Right? They're air cured. They're not frozen. They hang for 2 weeks. And then they're flash froze. It's all vacuum sealed, packages. So you leave it in your freezer for a year. If you don't eat it, it ain't going to be freezer burnt. Just really good packaging. And then we'll be bringing them down here to Immokalee. We got a freezer in Immokalee, and then we'll be figuring out if we're going to do, I think the best way is going to either do a drop in an area or come out to our packing shed, our Farmers Alliance packing shed in Immokalee, and we'll load it up in your coolers for you.
Got it. And so that's what's coming up is the launch of the website and the first drop, right, of Bourbon Beef, where consumers can purchase online. What does the future look like for Bourbon Beef? I know you guys are just getting started with the drop, but what do you imagine like the next, 3-5 years looking like? Is this something that eventually gets to a point where people can purchase steaks and things like specific cuts, or what are your thoughts around?
Ultimately, I don't think at this point for me, it's a matter of they're building a whole new facility, right? So it's doubling capacity. There's a ton of distillers grain, but it is a limiting factor. It is a limiting factor for ultimately when it comes down to it. If we have 2,500 or 3,000 head of these a year that are available, I think that's probably going to be about the limit. So it's going to be if you will, a Blanton's of bourbon or a double XO Woodford. There's only so many bottles, right, that are made of that high end bourbon, and that's really what this is. Because you can't go to Kansas or Nebraska and duplicate this process. They can't do it, right? The big feeders can't duplicate what they're doing at the farm level. So there is going to be a limit to it.
Okay, awesome.
And you'll be, on the whole cow side of it, you'll be able to choose if you want 1.5 inch thick T-bones. You'll be able to make 1.5 inch T-bones. For now, the quarters and halves are going to be a standard inch, right? We're not gonna give the variance because as far as breaking it down, if you customer to customer, it's just too hard to do. But if you're ordering a full cow, fully customizable how you want it, right?
Okay, awesome. Is there anything that we didn't touch on that you guys would like to mention before we wrap up here? Anything in general?
Nope. Support the American farmer.
Yeah.
Buy local.
Buy local.
Yeah, absolutely. With that, buy local, people are going to be able to buy online. Is it going to be restricted to a certain area? Like, let's say somebody from, California wants to purchase.
For now, the until we get the logistics figured out, we're gonna keep it
We're
going to keep it I-4 South, and then we're going to do some marketing right around the Shelbyville, Louisville area, right? The
Got it.
Kentucky area, right?
Okay,
so
awesome.
we're gonna have that two facets.
Perfect.
Because we've just been selling like to people we know and people that have requested. So we still have a lot to figure out on that end of it. But, Dustin, he does so good with the Farmers Alliance. We grow watermelons for him, and just I get those bill of ladings coming in, and it might be going to Michigan. I think one the other day was going to Scottsdale, Arizona. So I trust in Dustin and them that they'll be able to market and find those customers and find a way to get it to them. So, but I think since we're doing such a quality product, that we want to start small and make sure that we do it right. Because you don't want to get too big and then just not do a good job.
No, and on top of that, really, like I've told Mika, and we've got an influencer friend that's from Naples, or a buddy of mine, DJ Toma and his wife Jacqueline. They're from here. I don't know if you know him, but he does this cooking show, and we're working on a deal where DJ's going to be kind of doing some of that social media stuff for us, where he makes recipes and stuff, and I'm trying to formulate that with Farmers Alliance and Bourbon Beef.
Yeah.
He's got to deal with the beef check off, so it's going to be a pretty cool collab. But I was telling him the other day, I said, ultimately, the way I see this going is we're going to find 2,000 customers, maybe 3,000 customers across the United States that wants this beef. And our marketing will be over with, right? Because it'll be a repeat customer all the time. I know when we run out of beef, my wife yells at me. She's like,
Yeah.
"Come on, let's get some more cows going. I don't want nothing else."
Right.
So
Right.
I think eventually it's going to be cut down to a limited supply of consumers. So,
Right.
That's what we've been doing. Dad, last year he gave all the kids. I got a brother and a sister, and we got a quarter apiece. Or a half a piece. And so I got a half, my brother got a half, sister and dad. It's like the best Christmas present ever. I've been eating, prime steaks for a year,
Yeah.
It's October now. So I've been mentioning, I was like,
probably should get a few
I
more.
don't know what you got lined up, but maybe. so I think deals like that people will start doing.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And
We'll be customers for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And perfect timing.
Yeah.
for sure, right.
Holidays coming around.
Yeah, so really you need to get on board, because ultimately the repeat customer is going to be the one that gets the next cow, right?
Right.
Down
Right.
the line, right? With the limited supply.
Right. Well, that's awesome.
Great.
Well, thank you guys so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.